The most successful video on my YouTube channel is simulating dice rolls in Excel. Now the video is okay, but recently I asked myself, could I have done it better? Turns out the answer is yes I could have, more efficiently and more intuitively. So in this video today, I'm going to show you the new method for doing that so you don't spend hours and hours and hours trying to find those outcomes. Stay tuned. All right, here we are in Microsoft Excel. I've got my documents set up here, simulating dice rolls, and I've got some headings set up to speed up this video. So die is the singular term for a group of dice. So die 1, die 2, die 3, die 4. I'm beginning to sound like Reaper from Overwatch. And I've got an outcome column. This is where I'm going to determine of those 4 dice that I roll, are they random, like just 4 different numbers? Are they a pair? Are they trips? Are they quads? Are they a straight? Are they 2 pairs? We're going to find out. So first we need to generate our random numbers, and that's because a dice could be anything from 1 to 6. So we're going to type the equation equals rand between. So this is going to ask for 2 inputs, the smallest number that you could generate and the biggest number, and it will randomize those values. So on a die, we can have between 1 and 6. So we'll type those in, make sure you close your brackets. So we should have rand between 1, 6 and hit enter, and we get the value of 1. Okay, now to simulate this over and over and over, you can just press delete on your keyboard. Make sure you're not on a cell which you want the value of, because otherwise you're deleting it. Click on a random cell and hit delete, 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 and you can see that value changing. If it doesn't change like just then, it's because it's rolling 1, 1, 1, and it's going to keep going, but it will just randomly generate like this. Okay, I want all the dice to do it, but instead of clicking in and typing rand between again, I'm going to click this cell and I'm going to drag across by clicking this little square down the bottom right. Once I've clicked the cell, just click and hold and drag it across, and it's going to copy the formula all the way across. Bang. So now we have 4 dice being generated. I'm going to select all these cells and I'm going to put them in center. And now later on, we're going to do lots of simulations. So this is just the first roll of the dice. So this is a game where we're rolling 4 dice at once. The second game will be below, the third game will be below, but we'll leave that for now. Okay, this is all the same as what I did in my previous video, but here's where I went wrong. When I was determining the outcome of these 4 die, I had one very long formula, which was determining all of the different things. There was nested ifs. It was terrible. If you haven't seen the video yet, maybe after this video, go and have a look and see how truly bad it was. The link's on the screen up here. But for now, I'm going to show you the smarter way that I figured out to do this, the efficient way. Okay, so I'm going to reveal what I've already put in these cells, and you can see that we're going to be counting the frequency of the values separately. What does that mean? Well, I want to know in this group of 4 die, how many 1s are there? How many 2s are there? How many 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s are there? And we can use those values to determine whether we have quads, trips, a pair, 2 pair, whatever. Okay, so the simple command in Excel to determine that is a COUNTIF function. Okay, COUNTIF is essentially saying you tell it what range of cells to count from. So equals COUNTIF, bracket, and it's going to ask you for a range of cells. So based on these 4 cells, click and hold and drag, or just type in the array that you're looking at. In those 4 cells, how many what's? That's your criteria. How many 1s are there? That's simply all I'm going to ask, and it's going to return a integer value of how many there are. So if I hit enter and we have a look, we've got 2, 1, 1, 3. So there are 2 1s in this group. Simply how many 1s are the frequency of the value 1 is 2. Frequency meaning how many, right? So now the problem is if I drag this across, 2 problems with that. One, the first problem being that it's just counting how many 1s are there in the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s column, so that doesn't really help us. And because I'm moving one cell over to the right, Excel's thinking I also want to move the array 1 step over to the right. So I'm going to show you a shortcut for that. There are only 6 of these, so by all means just retype the formula. It doesn't take that long, but let's upskill a little bit here. If you type in front of your cell references a dollar sign. So $A, $4, and $D, $4. What that means is, as I drag across, it's still only going to be looking for ones, but notice it hasn't changed to B4, hasn't changed to C4. The dollar sign fixes that cell reference in place. Very handy indeed. Now all I have to do is change what I'm counting. In this case, I'm counting 2s. In this case, I'm counting 3s. In this case, I'm counting 4s. In this case, I'm counting 5s. And in this case, I'm counting 6s. Now we have 4 dice being rolled. So every time that every time I randomize, so by pressing delete, there should be a sum of 4 here. So I'm going to make a quick check by putting sum equals sum bracket, and then put this array in. It's going to sum up the array. And no matter what those dice end up being, as I hit delete, the sum is always going to be 4, which is telling me that I've done the frequency of the values bit correctly. Okay, so I'm going to delete that now because that's working properly as expected. This is already so much better than what I've done before. In the past video, at this point in the video, I would have this massive long string where I've got lots of errors and I'm trying to figure out why is there an error. The next step is so simple. So if I want to check, is there a pair here, for example? So I'm going to type, maybe up the top here, we'll go check, and we'll merge and center that guy for a heading. We'll go checks, and we'll Command Shift C to copy the formatting and copy it across. If you didn't know that one, this is a life-changing command. It works in Microsoft Word as well, and Office, I think, Outlook. If I want to make this formatting, like bold and bigger and change font, etc., match this heading, you can click the heading of the formatting you want. In Mac, it's Command Shift C. In Windows, it's Control Shift C. So Command Shift C, it copies the formatting, and all you have to do is click the checks. There is also this copy format button here, but if you're going to do it over and over and over and over, it's much faster to use the command. Little side note for you. So checking if there is a pair, okay? If there is a pair, it means that there is going to be a 2 somewhere in this range of 6 cells, right? If there is a 2, that means there is 2 of something, okay? So I'm going to, in this cell next to pair, go count if, in this range of cells, is there a 2? Bang. In this case, yes, there is. There is 1, 2. So there's 1 pair. If I hit it again, delete again, there is no pairs. We have 4 separate integers. Hit it again, there's 4 separate integers, 4 separate integers. We have a pair again. We have a pair of 1s. Now, with that said, I'm going to iterate through this while I talk. It may happen, it may not. There are scenarios where you get 2 pairs, okay? So as we iterate through, if it doesn't work, I'll just manually force it to make it. But we could get, for example, 2 1s or 2 5s at the same time. It doesn't seem to want to happen, so let's force it to be so. And we'll randomize later. So I'm going to go 2, 2, 4, and 4. Okay, and you can see that my check for pairs has now become a 2, because in this array, I have 2 pairs, okay? I have a pair of 2s and a pair of 4s. So, first of all, I'm actually going to rearrange this order here. We're going to come back to the pairs, just because it's going to be easier, and you'll see why shortly. So I'm going to cut these, because that's not the hardest thing to get, is essentially what I'm getting at. The hardest thing for me to get is quads, which is 4 of the exact same value. Rand between, I'm just going to make this random again and drag that across. The hardest thing to get is quads, 4 of a kind. So I'm going to type in here quads, and that's going to be a count if we, of course, in this range have a 4. Okay, it's very unlikely, okay, to get 4 of the exact same dice. So that quads value is going to be 0 for a long time, okay? Okay, it's going to take forever. So we can just finish off here. We'll go, what else could we have? We could have trips. I'm going to copy that formatting and put it on the trips. So to get trips, we're going to have a COUNTIF. In this range of values, we get a 3, which has come up a few times. So if we iterate through, we should get a 1 there at some point. You can see the pair value changing from 1 to 0 a lot. It's much more likely to get a pair than trips or quads. There we go. There's a trips. We have 3 5s. Okay, so trips is registering that there are 3 5s. Okay. I'm going to put these values underneath one another because, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm going to simulate many dice rolls, okay? And I want, so what's this? This is my quads check. This is my trips check underneath. This is going to be my pair check over here. Actually, I can go, yeah, I'll go pair check here. I'm going to put in here a 2 pair check. That's not how you spell pair, but let's fix that up. We need to be precise here. Cut that over here, cut that here. Now, copy that here rather. The reason why I'm copying the pair and 2 pair values is because I am checking the same thing. Okay, in the pairs, I'm checking if this is a 1. If there's a 1, there's a pair, 1 pair. I might even annotate this to make it more precise and call it 1 pair. In this case, I still want to check if there's a 2 in here, but I want to check if there's 2 2s. So in my outcomes, you'll see this shortly, so stay tuned. This value when it's at 2 is going to be what we're looking for. Okay, so we're going to simulate a bunch of values here. I'm going to just iterate through. We have a trips, we have 3 4s, we have 1 pair, I see what's gone wrong here. I have the wrong references here because I didn't use those $signs. So let's not be try and take too many shortcuts. I'll rewrite it out. Equals COUNTIF. In this range, we have a 2. Bang. Okay, so now 2 pair and 1 pair should match. Okay, sweet. As we'll annotate through, there are going to be times when we have nothing, like 4 unique numbers. There are going to be times when we have a pair, for example, 2 1s like we have at the moment. And as you've seen, we can have trips, and there's going to be times when we have quads. But because quads are so unlikely, it's going to take ages for us to check if our thing is working. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to simulate many rolls at once. Remember, each of these 4 dice is being rolled at the same time. I want to simulate many. It's very simple though. I have all of my formulas now. All I'm going to do is take these 4 die, click as a group. There's a green square in the bottom right. Click and drag that all the way down. As far as you want, you could go into the thousands. I'm just going to go to the bottom of my screen at the moment. Let's say 44. Okay. This is all of the different dice rolls. Each one of these rows is a single roll of the dice. I also want to check, right? This is where I'm going to have to now, this is not going to work as well. I'm going to have to remove these $signs because I've just realized if I'm going to be dragging down these formulas, I actually do want the cell references to change now. So that was a bit of an oversight on my part. Maybe in a couple of years, I will remake this video again to make it even more precise without these errors. So bear with me, I'll speed up the video here. Alrighty, and we're back. So now I'm going to select all of my checks, my frequency of value checks, and drag it all the way down to match my dice rolls. And you can say we have all sorts of stuff here. We have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s all over the place, and 6s all over the place. We also want to drag our checks down, okay? So we're going to drag that all the way down here. And we can see we don't have any quads. Not in any of these is there a quad. However, because we have so many rolling at once, every time I press delete and re-randomize, there is a good chance that very soon I'm going to get quads. So I'm going to go delete, no, delete, no, delete, no, delete, no, delete, no. There we go. Praise the Lord. We have quads in this row here. You can see we've got 2, 2, 2, 2. And because we've got 4 2s, This check is counting that there are 4 of them. It's putting a 4 in that cell. And because this one is checking, well, how many of these cells have a 4? There is one of them has a 4. We can say that we have quads. Okay, why is this helpful? At the moment, it just looks like there's heaps of numbers on the screen. Here's why it's helpful. I can go into my outcome section, okay? I can type equals, and now we're gonna do a few checks, okay? In fact, I'm gonna go equals if, okay? The first logical test. If this value, okay, equals 1, so if the value in that cell is 1, we are gonna output quads as my outcome. Make sure you put your air quotes or your quotation marks around quads. When you're telling Excel to write something, you have to put those air quotes to tell it to write that thing. So if that value is a 1, then we've got quads. There is nothing else we can have. We've got quads. Comma. Instead of saying, let's say no result, we can have another if. Okay, well, if it's not quads, it might be something else. So if this value is equal to 1, then we have trips. Comma. What if it's not trips? Well, it could be 2 pairs. So if, again, these are called nested ifs, but it's very simple and straightforward because we're just doing our checks columns, right? So if this value equals a 2, then we have 2 pair. If that's not the case, we go if, again, if, let's say, this cell equals 1, then we have 1 pair. If none of those things are true, right? It's checking for quads, no. Checking for trips, no. Checking for 2 pair, no. Checking for 1 pair, no. If none of those things are true, we are going to output you lose in this game. Okay? Now, I have to close all of these parentheses to make sure my if statement is finished. So that is the last check. Whoops, daisies. I think it did it for me actually. So, okay, I accidentally pressed enter. If you're gonna worry about how many brackets there are, just hit enter and it'll do it for you. That's pretty cool. The outcome for this dice roll is 1 pair. You can see there's 2 6s. Let's hit it. Let's just drag this down now so we can simulate it for all dice rolls. And we can see here that we lost. There is no quads, no pair, no trips, no 2 pair, nothing. In this first column, or this first row, we've actually got quads. We have 4 2s, which is unlikely, and we can see that the outcome there is quads. We've got 2 pair here, 2 6s and 2 2s. We have trips here, 3 4s and a 2. And trips here, some you losers, and so on. So these, this is just my need for it all to be neat. Just that check there. This is all so much simpler than my previous video. I hope you agree. Yes, it is time consuming a little bit, but once it's set up, you can simulate so many different things. In fact, you can even do checks now to say, let's call this merge and center and call these outcome checks. Okay, I want to copy and paste this formatting over here. In the outcome checks, I want to check how many times is there quads? How many times is there trips? How many times is there 2 pair? How many times is there 1 pair? So this is a different check to the one in here. These are the checks for individually how many quads, trips, 2 pairs, 1 pairs in this single dice roll. I want to check overall. To do that, I go equals count if. In this range of outcomes, we have the word quads. Boom. We have quads exactly 1 time. Okay. If we navigate down, we can see it's here. That's the 1 quads. If I repeat the process, this time there was no quads. As you can see down this column here, we have no quads. Hit it again, we have 1 quads. Let's wait until we get 2 quads. It may be unlikely, but we'll see. It's actually probably very unlikely. We could probably do the maths to find out on the channel How to Maths, but we'll leave that for a different video because this one is getting long, so let's wrap it up shortly. We're going to also count if, and we're going to find out how many in this range of values, say air quotes, trips. There are 5. We're going to check how many equals count if in this range, comma, say 2 pair, close brackets, and last but not least, equals count if. Actually, I'm going to do 1 pair, air quotes first before I close it, and finally, how many times we lose. Okay, now instead of checking how many times we say you lose, I'm going to show you one quick other way to do that. I'm going to merge and center that again. We know, well, we can just check how many selections we've got. How many times are we rolling the dice? Instead of having to count, if you look in the bottom right, actually where my face is, let me move that really quickly. If you go to Excel and you highlight a bunch of cells, it'll tell you down the bottom, count of 41. It's going to tell you how many cells you've selected, which is a really fast way to see, you know, how many rows have you selected. So I'm going to move my face back down now. If we go here, we should have 41. So equals, this is going to be 41 minus the sum of these values, right? Whatever's left. So in this case, there was 6 losses, and we can just check that's true. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6. So that's working out now. I'm going to center align those two, or that one there. So as we hit delete, 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 we can see how many times are we winning, losing, and getting all the different variations of quads, trips, 2 pair, 1 pair, and losses. Thank you so much for watching. If you got something out of this video, make sure you click the like button, click the logo up above to subscribe, and click the top link if you want to see the next video where I take this simulation and I assign it probabilities mathematically and some payouts in order to create a game where the house always wins. The bottom link over here is a YouTube recommendation. Have a great day.